deaf? Don't try that Halloween shit with me.
You are now listening to the voice of horror.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. Make sure the kids are safe at home, cause you're headed to the Night Watch Zone.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, guys? We're here on a Monday night, ready to rock and roll and talk movies. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of stuff to talk about from multiple franchises. So I'm pretty excited to do this with you guys and just chill out, hang out for a little bit. A blanket hello to all of you guys that are here. And thank you so much for coming out to hang out. Julie's in the house. What's up, Julie? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And we're going to see Late Night with the Devil tomorrow. Can't wait. That is awesome. And Julie, I know you had seen my video on it. Man, I'm telling you, that movie, very, very interesting film. I'm not going to give away any spoilers whatsoever, but wow, wow, wow. It's a very interesting movie. Definitely kept my attention. So that's always a good thing. So hope you guys enjoy it. You'll have to let me know what you think of it. I'll be very curious. Hey, Paula, what's up, Paula? Good to have you here. Paula's been hanging out with us multiple times tonight on the Lethal Collective in here. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Ginger Ninja, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. Great to have you here as always, man. DJ, what's up? What's up? And Melissa's in the chat. Hey, Melissa, I'm so sorry about that news about your dad. I'm serious. I hope that you're trying to hang in there, you and your family. Seriously. But I'm glad that you're here, and hopefully this will definitely give you, a little bit of happiness in your time of sadness. But we appreciate you, seriously. Much love, Melissa. Much love. May Ann is in the chat. Hey, May, good to see you. Saying hello to everyone. All right. David, what's up? Good to have you here as well. Yeah, and definitely everyone sending prayers to Melissa and her family. Much appreciated. Yeah. Hey, what's up? Apollo's in the chat. All right, man. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We don't want another Sid relative after her. Hey, you're preaching to the choir, man. Seriously. It's going to be interesting. And of course, I've been talking about this. We talked about it earlier on the Lethal stream as well. I think the thing I want most for Scream 7 is a really great story. And when I say story, that kind of covers multiple things as far as making it great chemistry, a great Sydney story, making sure that we respect our characters, especially legacy characters like Sydney, and if the rumors are true and Gail returns, which we're expecting that anyway. So yeah. Mr. Rick is in the chat. All right. Good to have you here. And we got Gina as well. Hey, Gina. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. Well, since we started on Scream, and I know so many of you guys are so invested in the goings on. We talked earlier on the Lethal Stream about the possibility. It looks like we've got the rumors that Courtney is going to be signed on as Gale, which that should come to no surprise to anyone. It definitely doesn't come to a surprise to me. And so that's going to be happening, and looks like they're in talks with Patrick Dempsey, and we were expecting that as well. I have heard, that as far as the rumors, there's a lot of talks going on as far as what's going to be happening with pay and so forth. So I'm just hoping that we don't have any more, money scenarios popping up, because it just seems like that's just been a thing here. Whether it's with Nev, whether it's with Jenna, it's like let's just unless it's unreasonable, of course, but let's just pay these people, you know, a decent amount. They are the reason that these movies work, right? The caliber of actors and also the connection that the fans have with them and their characters. So I'm hoping that nothing weird goes on. We should have Patrick Dempsey come back. I would love to see him come back, but we will see. We will see. T Parker in the chat. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Saying heard about they're casting some actors from Cocaine Bear and Halloween. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of rumors about that and about who that person is from the Halloween trilogy. I think that's fine. I do think for Scream 7, if it were up to me, I would definitely try to make sure that whoever is going to be casted, we keep this story balanced, simple and balanced. And we saw how they can do that successfully with Scream 4. You had your OG cast, and you also had a brand new cast. And I think they did a really good job of balancing the two. But they did not do a good job of that in 5. So I'm hoping that we don't have another Scream 5 situation. They did not spend enough time with Gale. They did not spend enough time with Sydney. Of course, Dewey gets killed. He did have some good scenes, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's all I can do is hope that because Kevin is involved and no one knows these characters better than Kevin, I'm just hoping that he can really just cover all the bases. And that's what I'm expecting. I will say I have pretty high expectations of this film, at least as far as the character development and the chemistry of the characters. So we will see. Mr. Rick saying, I hope the killer is not related to anybody, because 5 is the only sequel that the killer isn't related to somebody. Make it fresh and new. I think it would be cool if they were able to do that. There are a couple of different things they can do to still push the envelope and make things fresh, make them, new for the franchise. We've talked about a lot of different scenarios. You guys tell me, what would you like to see that's new and fresh for Scream 7? For me, there's a couple different things. I think, personally speaking, we should have the type of, in 6 we saw that there is a cult, and that was something that we'd wanted. Well, if we have a cult in this universe, if we're assuming that we're covering this story after the events of 6, and there's evidence of a cult, well, couldn't we have multiple attacks? That would be something that'd be really cool to see. And I think that could tie into Sydney and how they bring her back into the story, because the question is going to be, what are they going to do to bring Sydney back? What are they going to do to bring Sydney back? Hopefully it's something that makes a lot of sense. And I think it should be something with her family. That should be the key, is something with her family or Mark. And that would make total sense of why she would choose to come back into this crazy world of Ghostface killers. It really would. Paul is saying they should use some cast members from the holdovers. You've been big on that, Paula. Hey, I'm open to whoever. I'm really open. That's the one thing I will say about these films, is that usually they find great talent, and whether it's known talent or up and coming talent. So I'm really excited to see who they are going to cast. I do hope, though, that we don't have too many cast members. You know, like I said, with 5, I mean, we had so many people. We just didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time to cover everybody. If they had allowed the movie to be the 2 hours and 20 minutes that it, you know, originally could have been, then you would have had more time to cover, you know, so many characters. But they didn't do that, and I don't expect them to do that for 7. I don't expect them to have a movie that's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I wouldn't mind that. You know, you guys let me know. I wouldn't mind a movie being that long. It would work for me. But again, there's a lot of possibilities. I know a lot of people are big about, you know, Stu, whether or not they're going to bring back Stu. Do they want Stu to come back? I've done some polls where people are really divided on both sides of the fence. They want him back. Some people don't. Personally speaking, this if they want to bring him back, or if that was an idea that they've even thought about, this is the time to do it. They're probably never going to have a better time, because right now with Sydney back, and you've got a situation where, to me, they're picking up the puzzle pieces from the big explosion of what happened with Melissa and everyone. So this is the best opportunity for them to do it. And I also do think, marketing wise and business wise, that would be a really good thing for Scream 7. I really do. If you're bringing back Matthew Lillard, I mean, come on. I mean, that's going to get everyone interested. And for the people that aren't on board with him coming back, it's going to make them curious to see how they're going to do it and if it's going to work or not. So, T. Parker saying, hoping we don't get any immortal characters this time. Make stabs lethal again. Yes, no more Chad Terminators. That was, to me, one of the biggest missteps. And even Radio Silence said this. Radio Silence themselves said this, that they really crossed that line of realism. You cannot stab someone 17 times and boom, you know, they're okay. You just can't do that. You can't. If you add up all the stabs from 5 and 6, it's like, what is it? Like 20, 24, something like that. It's ridiculous. So you can't do that. And it robbed 6 of probably one of the most epic kills. That would have been a very epic kill. 2 Ghostface killers stabbing him. I mean, that would have been great. And not that I didn't like the character, because I think Chad, if anything, I think he was really, you know, more fully formed in 6 than he was in 5. But people gotta die, bro. You can't have all these people that survive. You've got multiple Ghostface you've got 3 Ghostface killers, and you have a cult, and everyone's surviving. You got the most survivors of any Scream film. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Mr. Rick saying, what would be a good idea is no twist, no reason. They are just a psychopath, and you, Sydney's pass for a reason to kill. I would love to see, I said this earlier actually, I would love to see them like pare this down to a situation where you got Sydney, let's say you have Mark, you got Gail, you got a couple other cast members or whatever, and it's you know, it's condensed but pared down, and you have the killer or killers who is just no nonsense, and they are just killing. You know, no goofy stuff. I mean, you can still have fun with this movie like you do with any Scream film, but no goofy shit, right? But I'm gonna tell you what, Mr. Rick, I don't think that's gonna happen. And part of it is because of the expectation, like where they've taken the franchise. If you look at 5, and then you look at 6 with, you know, just this big time, we're in New York, people are falling off of buildings and all that. I just don't think that they're going to turn back the other way. They might a little bit because Kevin's involved. I think he's going to have that sensibility, but I don't think it's going to be a situation where there isn't a twist and a reason. It'd be interesting to see if they did. We got Hunter in the chat. What's going on, Hunter? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Saying hi, I just subscribed to the channel. Hey, well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Welcome to the community. I think you're going to see a lot of great people in the live chat. So thank you so much for joining us here at the Night Watch Zone. Saying, are you a fan of David Cronenberg's body horror movies? Whoa, absolutely. David Cronenberg is one of my favorite directors. Hunter, I'm just going to tell you, go through our catalog of streams and videos. We've talked about a lot of David Cronenberg. We've talked about Rabid. We've talked about The Fly. The Fly is one of my favorite films ever. I'll never forget it when I first saw it as a kid. It literally changed my world. I saw it as a kid with my little brother and my parents, and especially my mom, really big into The Fly. Such a fantastic film. We've talked about The Fly on live streams. We've talked about The Fly 2, which I think is a pretty underrated follow-up. Not as good, nowhere near as good as The Fly, but still a fun movie. So yeah, I love David Cronenberg. I truly do. So welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. Ginger Ninja is ready to rock and roll on the Stu train. Ginger Ninja, tell me, if Stu comes back, I'm assuming you do want Stu to come back. If he comes back, do you think that they'll be able to figure out a good way to make his story work? Let me know. Let me know. Austin's in the chat. What's up, Austin? Saying you're right. And Chad was my favorite of the new characters. Yeah, man. Austin, look, Austin, Chad, I thought, had a really nice arc going in 6. I thought it was cool that they were showing him and Tara, starting a relationship. And that's why the scene worked so well, because, she obviously was in so much pain seeing, Chad being killed right in front of her and the way he was being killed. So as much as I loved the character, they should have killed him there. They really should have. That would have had so much weight. Either that, or had the two Ghostface killers attacking him and he finds some way to avoid being stabbed over a dozen times and he survives. I wouldn't have been upset if he survived. Mindy should have died. There's no doubt about that. Gail should have died, based upon what we saw in 6. And I don't want to not have a Gale Weathers in a Scream film, but the point of it is that we got to be realistic. When you're getting stabbed like that, come on, man. You know what I mean? Something's got to be real. Hunter saying, if so, he has a new horror movie coming out called The Shrouds. Yes, a man who creates a device for people to watch their departed loved ones decompose in real time. Yeah, I'm really interested in that and hoping to do some coverage for it. I just think he's a fantastic filmmaker. He's got such creativity. He's a visionary. And like I said, man, I've loved him since I was a little kid, and watching his films over the years, he's one of those filmmakers that I think is, he's kind of like got a cult status, but I still think he's very, very underappreciated. I truly do. So, but I can't wait to see what he does with The Shrouds. Hunter saying, I'm intrigued with Matthew returning to Scream. I really hope it works. I hope it works too. I think put it this way, guys, and I know some people are not wanting Stu to come back. I've done polls on the community tab of the channel, and we have some people saying, well, how could he come back? He had a TV crush his head, or he got electrocuted, or that's stupid. He's dead. But the thing of it is, guys, is that there's been multiple breadcrumbs that they've given to show that he could have survived or that he's not dead. And especially in 5, man, when they had the whole idea of the online, thread of, is he still alive? And of course, we saw the same thing for Kirby. And then, they bring Kirby back in 6. So there's no doubt that they can bring him back. I just hope they do it in a way that when I'm watching the film in the theater, that I just say, that's really clever. I want this to be clever again. And I'm hoping that Kevin can make that happen. T. Parker saying, how about the Killers in 7 is a cult of Stu fans who want to avenge Stu by killing Sydney and her family? That could work. That could work. You know, it's kind of a way to do it without Stu actually being there, but his presence is still felt. I like that. I like that. What's up, Dominic? Dominic's in the chat. All right. Ginger Ninja saying, to quote Norman Osborn, take it back to formula. Keep it dark, sharp, and thrilling. Keep some meta aspects, but lose the overemphasizing of it from Mindy. Yeah. Yeah. I just think, and you know, Jasmine's a really talented actress. She really is. But I just don't think they did her justice in 6. I truly don't. But Paul is saying I'm on the Sydney train. There you go. Excuse me. And Melissa is heading out. I hope you have a good night, Melissa. Seriously, you're not bothering us, but we appreciate you stopping in. We really, really do. And again, much love and prayers to you, Melissa. Dominic saying, I made a video about Scream 7, how it can connect to Scream 6. Oh, that's awesome, man. I hope I can check it out. You know, I think there's a lot of ways they can connect it to 6, even though they're going to have to kind of gloss over the fact that we don't have the core 4. I mean, obviously, the biggest thing that they can do is connect it to Gale. You know, connect it to Gale. Maybe Gale is recuperating from her attack. You know, she could be dealing with trauma, PTSD. Maybe she reaches out to Sydney. You know, after she's recuperating, some time passes by, maybe a couple weeks, you know, several weeks or whatever. And that could be the way that they have the connection to 6. You could bring Kirby back. I have no problem with that because I'm a huge Kirby fan. I love Hayden. But they just got to do it the right way. They got to do it justice. I don't think they did as much with her as they could have in 6. I get it that there's a lot of characters. There's the core 4. There's Gale. You're bringing back Kirby. You've got the new cast. But I just think that they could have done a little bit more with Kirby. You know, kind of bringing back a little bit of that snarkiness that she had in 4. I know that she's older, so people change and mature and all that. But it would have, you know, Hayden's really good at wordplay like that. And I think it would have been cool to see a little bit more of that. So we'll see. Yeah, man. That is a great cast. I love Guy Pearce. It's funny you mentioned Guy Pearce because I also wanted to talk about some news for Alien Romulus, and of course Guy Pearce playing Wayland in Prometheus and so forth. But yeah, that's a great cast, man. Vincent Cassel, Diane Kruger, love them. I absolutely love them, and I can't wait to see it. You know, I wish there were more filmmakers that kind of had that creativity, like a David Cronenberg. I mean, obviously, his son, Brandon, very talented in his own right, still early in his career. But, you know, when you watch a David Cronenberg movie, you put on any of his movies, you have no idea. I mean, other than like The Fly, because it being a remake, for those of us that were fans of the original, which I was, you kind of knew where you were going to go with that. But for his movies in general, you just don't know where it's going to go. And a lot of times his protagonists, those characters are so well written, so well developed, and usually so well acted that when the horror is happening, it's usually happening to them in very disgusting ways. So you're really invested, man. Ginger Ninja saying, if he comes back, he will seem old, frail, and decrepit due to the TV injuries in jail. But it'll be a red herring. He'll be fully psycho and out for revenge, leading the cult. Yeah, man, that could work. I could definitely see that. The bottom line is that the table has been set for Stu. Okay, the table has been set. This whole idea of the cult that we saw in 6, the whole idea of how, you know, Richie and Amber were recruited in 5. I mean, this man, like I said, if they don't bring him back now, they might miss their greatest window of opportunity, you know? So I agree. Let's see. Hunter saying the Shrouds is rumored to be premiering at Cannes, which is where Crimes of the Future debuted. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was under the assumption that it was going to be early fall, late summer, early fall. I might be off on that, but that's what my assumption was when it was going to be released. Yeah. Hey, we got Val in the chat. What's going on, Val? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, man, with Vincent Price. That's a classic. It's an absolute classic. You know, we were talking about maybe doing a watch party for it, and because I haven't seen it in a couple of years. It's been at least 2 years since I've watched it. But that's a film that I've always loved since I was a little kid. First time I ever saw it, I saw it at my grandmother's house. And actually, it's funny because when I think about it, I saw a lot of older films at my grandmother's house, like Psycho. That's where I first saw Psycho. That was where I first saw Night of the Living Dead. So definitely House on Haunted Hill, an absolute classic. Vincent Price, one of my favorites in horror. One of my favorites. Denisha, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And Val, thank you for reminding people, hit the like button. It definitely helps us out. But also for our upcoming streams, we got a great Battle World episode for tomorrow night. We are going up into the stratosphere when we're talking about the Martian and gravity. And guys, this is going to be a really fun one, something a little bit different for us, but we're really excited to do it. So hope to see you guys tomorrow night at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Let's see. Amstel's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Hollywood guys in the chat. What's going on? Hope you're doing well, man. Super Tenor. Hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're still recuperating and feeling better and better. Hunter saying some of my all-time favorite horror movies: House on Haunted Hill, Misery, The Shining, Get Out, What Lies Beneath, most recently Late Night with the Devil. That's a great list, and you just named a bunch of my favorites too. Trust me, the more you're around this channel, you'll definitely hear us talking a lot about stuff like The Shining, Misery as well, and Late Night with the Devil. I just want to say again, I'm staying away from spoilers. That's another thing. We stay away from spoilers to give people who haven't seen movies a chance to experience it spoiler free. But all I can say about Late Night with the Devil, first of all, if you haven't checked out my video on it, check out my video on it. I was really impressed with the way it was done. I was really impressed with that. And watching it, I'm gonna tell you what, I said this in my video. One thing I'll tease: this is the type of movie that I can see myself revisiting, you know, every year, especially around Halloween time. It was very, very cool. Very, very cool. So, you know, there's a lot of hype about it. There's also a little bit of controversy, but I think the hype is definitely well earned. And the controversy about the AI, you know, I haven't really talked about that as far as my opinion on it. I understand where people have frustration about it, and that's valid. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. My personal take on it, from what I understand of it and what I saw in the film, you know, there were two quick scenes that they used AI to generate the image, and it was really quick. I mean, we're talking maybe 5 seconds of screen time, you know, that was used. So I guess there's that part of me that says, well, it was really quick. It was a really quick scene of an image that was generated by AI. So, of course, that can lead to bigger things, you know, more egregious situations. So you want to watch out for that. But I don't think, for what was seen in the film, as far as what I understand of the situation, I don't think that there should be, you know, such outrage about it. And maybe there's not outrage, but just some of the stuff I've heard. So, but Late Night with the Devil, yeah, check out my video on that. And Val, if you could put the link to that in the chat, that would be great, because Hunter is brand new to the community. But I was really happy to have seen it, and to have seen it early, so I put out my review a few days before it premiered. But yeah, great film, high recommend. The Wild Guys, what's up, man? Saying hello, night in chat. Yeah, hope you're doing well. We're just chilling out. Hunter saying I'm tackling my first horror movie screenplay, having a blast. That's cool. Awesome. Well, with the movies that you love, then I'm assuming that you got some really good ideas for it. So that's awesome to hear. Really. Elm Street's in the chat. What's up, Elm Street? Good to see you. Yeah. Hope you're doing well, man. Would we ever do a watch along for Late Night with the Devil? Absolutely. Oh yeah. Once it is available, yeah, there's no doubt. I think it's a fun film. I think that would be a fun film to watch together. And we do watch parties quite often, and we also have private watch parties as well for our channel members and our Patreon members. So definitely keep an eye out on that. We're looking to do one for this Sunday. I haven't put the stream up yet, but we're looking to do that. We're going to have some panel guests and so forth. So keep an eye out. And also, if you are not a channel member, and if you'd like to become a channel member and help support the community and the channel, you just hit the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, it's a great movie. It'll be a fun one to do as a watch party. Thank you, May Ann. I appreciate that. That is the link. And she's doing it while she's driving. Holy moly. May Ann, don't do that. I don't want you to have an accident. But thank you for putting that link up. But that is the link to my video on Late Night with the Devil. And we got Hollywood Guy coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that, man. Saying, hey, Night, I might give a chance to Alien Romulus. And of course, I'm excited for Scream 7 with or without Stu. Doesn't matter if he's in it. To be honest, and I'll pass on the Crow. The OG is the king. Yeah, you know, and Hollywood Guy, thank you so much for that. Definitely, Romulus has me intrigued. Fede Alvarez as a director, he is very, very talented. I love his work. I love his style. You know, he's a very visual, creative director. So I'm really excited. And we'll get into a little bit of that in a second too, because there's a lot to cover about Alien Romulus for any of you guys that are Alien fans. And again, when you talk about Alien as a franchise, especially the original, I mean, that is a great horror film. It is great. It is one of my favorites ever. But Hollywood Guy, thank you for the super chat. Really, seriously appreciate that. It helps to support the channel, keeps us going, keeps the lights on and so forth. So let's do a super chat clip for you. And let's do one that I think is pretty funny. I think you'll enjoy this. Let's do this one. Here we go. There we go. Oh man, look, oh, I love that one. Hollywood Guy, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you. Seriously, it helps us out. And Val, thank you for putting the link in there. If you'd like to become a channel member, hit the join button or click the link right there. It helps to support the channel, helps us to do extra stuff, and we do exclusive stuff as well, hangouts, watch parties, and so forth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hunter saying, if you love Stephen King, have you seen these miniseries, The Shining, Storm of the Century? Oh, I love Storm of the Century. Oh, yes. The Stand and Tommyknockers. Yes, I've seen them all. And The Stand is one of my favorites. Growing up, Stephen King, like anytime Stephen King had something coming out that was adapted from his work, it was like, boo, you know, it was like, stop the press, right? And I can remember so many times, me and my brother, we'd be watching those miniseries at night. It was it was a special time, guys. And I know sometimes nostalgia can create a certain shine on memories, but I think it truly was. Stephen King, such an amazing creative talent in horror. And at the time, when you're talking about the 80s, the mid 80s to the late 90s, a lot of these adaptations and the movies that were just being churned out, you know, from his material. There was a lot of great times, a lot of great memories. Not everything was perfect, but as horror fans, man, you always had something to look forward to. You really, really did. Yeah, so I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Gina saying, I'm going to give The Crow remake a chance. It looks different, but I thought remakes were meant to do that. I'm always going to love the OG. Yeah, I think that here's the thing. So we can move into The Crow a little bit, because I know there's a lot of talk about it on both sides of the fence. I did a video earlier today, so if you haven't checked that out, please check that out, guys. And I know I can speak for any content creator, especially when you do a video. There's a lot of time put into a video. Even if it's like a 10-minute video, you can almost be guaranteed there were multiple hours to edit it, put it together. So definitely, if you can, check out my video on it, because I really get deep into it. But I wanted to touch upon it tonight, and also if folks in the chat had a certain opinion on it, to kind of answer those things here live with you. But here's the thing. The original is one of my favorite movies ever. I've said this before. I saw it in the theater multiple times. I was devastated by the tragedy. I was a huge fan of Brandon Lee. I was an even bigger fan of his father, and I still am. It's part of the reason that I became a martial artist and a teacher. So I have a lot of connections to that first film. And I think, and again, I want to reference a good friend of mine, my buddy Eric from Hey Internet Eric here. We were talking about this because he's a huge fan of the original too, but he's a big fan of remakes and the possibility of building upon classics. And sometimes that happens, guys. I mean, we just talked about one here tonight, The Fly. For people of my parents' generation or my grandmother's generation, they loved that movie, right? It's The Fly. It's Vincent Price, and they might have said to themselves, well, this David Cronenberg, what is he doing? It's so different. It's gross. It's just too much, right? But it's a great film. Now, and maybe it speaks to a different generation, and that's okay too. I think that's okay too. So when you talk about The Crow, it's a legacy for Brandon Lee. It's a moment in time, and it has a charm that I don't think can ever be duplicated. And I honestly believe that. When you talk about the way it was shot, when you talk about the limitations of technology, because there are limitations in technology, but it worked towards the advantage of the film, right? And we see that with a lot of films of that time period in the 80s and the 90s. So you can't replicate that. Nor should you try to. I mean, you can still honor the original vision, but do your own thing. Don't do just a scene by scene remake like they did with Psycho. Like, don't do that. I mean, to each their own. My opinion, I think that's really is just a pale effort. So do your own thing. And I will say, just based off the trailer, we don't know anything else, or I don't know anything else. I'm only going by what I see of the trailer. I don't know anything else. It looks like they're going to try to do their own thing. And I'm glad. I was afraid that when I was going to press play on the trailer, when I did my trailer reaction of The Crow, I was so afraid that we were going to see, dark, gritty, dirty, pale imitation of the 94 film. So we didn't get that. Now, is it going to be as effective of a movie? That remains to be seen. It does look like it leans more heavily into stylized action, very John Wick-esque, right? And I get it. Lionsgate has made a lot of money off of the John Wick franchise. The John Wick franchise, it's one of the most profitable franchises out there. Each time they do a movie, it makes more money. 4 movies, and it's crazy the jumps in profit that they've had. By the way, I've talked about each of those films. I'm a big fan of those films. So I understand that they were thinking, okay, let's go down this road and do something that has shown to connect with the audience. But as an action film, that could work out really well. As a Crow film, it remains to be seen, So yeah, Gina, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm cautious, but I'm open-minded. You know, again, I made no bones about it. When I first heard they were doing it, I was like, no. I was like, no, 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 no. When I heard that Jason Momoa was attached to it, I was like, hell no, no, don't do this. And then when I saw the image of Bill, you know, in the makeup, I was not impressed at all. But it looked different seeing him move, seeing him do stuff. And Bill, and let me just say, Bill Skarsgård is very talented. I like Bill Skarsgård. So I don't have any doubt that he can portray a good character. So we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see. I think we have to be open-minded. And it's interesting because I didn't even say this in my video for The Crow that I uploaded earlier today. But my example of The Fly, I think, is a really good example. You could say the same thing about John Carpenter's The Thing. For fans of the original film, The Thing from Another World, you know, that's, you know, my grandmother's generation, my mother's generation, when they heard that John Carpenter was going to remake this film and they saw that it was going to be so much different, you know, and all these creatures and all the gross and wet and sliminess of The Thing, they're probably thinking, what the hell is this? Because it's so different. It has nothing of the same atmosphere of the original The Thing from Another World. Nothing. But John Carpenter's The Thing is a great film. And maybe it's a generational situation where one generation can like one film and the other generation likes the newer film. Maybe. So maybe there'll be newer fans of The Crow, you know, that like this movie coming out. Hopefully it'll lead them back to the Brandon Lee film. So anyways, that's my rant on The Crow. I knew I was going to get into a rant about The Crow because I love that film so much. And I love talking about it. I haven't had a chance to talk about it as much as I want, but with this new film coming out, it's giving me the opportunity to doing that. And I hope that you guys enjoy it because, you know, even though it's not straight horror, I think it has a lot of ties to the genre, and it's just great material. You know, the whole idea of a revenge. You know, Hollywood guy saying hot take. I wasn't a fan of Prometheus, to be honest. You know, well, first of all, I don't even know if that's a hot take, man, because there's a lot of people that weren't fans of Prometheus, and we haven't had a chance to talk Prometheus or the Alien franchise in total in a long time. On the old channel we did, and it was one of my favorite series of discussions. We talked about every single Alien film, and when we got to Prometheus, it was an interesting conversation, and we probably will do that again. We'll see. But I think there's missed opportunities in Prometheus. I know what Ridley Scott was trying to do, but there are some things I do enjoy about it. I will admit that there are some things I enjoy about it. It's a frustrating film because it could have been a lot better, but yeah, it's frustrating. I say that would be the thing that I'd say the most. It's a frustrating film. Hunter saying some horror movies that I've watched for the first time are The Thing. Ooh, so the first time, wow. The Uninvited and Love Them. Yeah, The Uninvited. That's a fun one too. We were just talking about that with my good buddy Steven. He loves that film. As a person who's on the autism spectrum, I truly loved the Stephen King miniseries Rose Red. Yeah, Rose Red was pretty good. Although I will say, out of all the miniseries that he's done, that's the one I've probably watched. Well, I don't want to say if it's the least, because that might be The Langoliers. No, actually, no, I've seen that more. But yeah, Rose Red was pretty good. Rose Red was pretty good. I love Stephen King, man. Yeah. Mr. Rick saying, do you have more on your Patreon, or is it the same for channel members? You mean more levels? Let me know what you mean, Mr. Rick. I think they're about the same amount of levels. I think on the Patreon there's 4 levels, and well, actually no, channel members, I believe it's 5 levels. But let me know what you mean. We do have times when we've done exclusive streams for the members, and we've also done exclusive streams where we've done it for Patreon members. I usually try to group everyone together, though. Makes it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, let me know what you mean. Drew's in the chat. What's up, the Drewsif? I'm a huge fan of the original 90s The Crow, also a 1984 Ghostbusters baby, so Ernie Hudson movies will always get my vote. As far as Brandon's concerned, of course, he'll always be Eric. Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's the bottom line, is that movie, he solidified, right? You know, for me, here's another great example. And by the way, this will probably be clipped out into a video because there is some great stuff going on here. But here's another great example for me, guys. Superman. Okay. For me, growing up at a time when I did, Christopher Reeve is always going to be Superman. You know, he just is. You know, I loved his movies. I loved him as an actor. You know, there's tragedy surrounding him as well. But even without that tragedy, even long before, you know, his accident and his untimely death, I was a huge fan of those films, especially just 1 and 2. I'll never forget the first time I saw those films. But guys, that being said, I enjoyed the other Superman films too. I enjoyed Henry Cavill's performance as Superman. And it didn't diminish Christopher Reeve's legacy for me. I mean, I'm just talking about for me, guys. You guys let me know what you think. So I did reference that a little bit in my video from earlier today. You know, you can, when you have a character that's iconic and is played by multiple actors, you can enjoy multiple performances and still have maybe your favorite, or maybe the one that you feel like that was their legacy moment, you know? Whether you're talking about Superman, or you're talking about Blade, or you're talking about the Joker, or if you're talking about James Bond or Sherlock Holmes, you know, it could go on and on and on for these characters that are around and have been around forever. Dracula, you know, I could keep going on and on. So, but let me know what you guys think. Yeah. And Hunter saying, what do I think of the 2011 The Thing prequel? Ooh, I've definitely seen it. And listen, I'm gonna say this. It's got great stuff in it. I wish they could have kept the practical effects, because I think the CGI really, yeah, it was kind of a shame what they did, because they were planning to do practical effects for The Thing, but the studio kind of got involved and said, no, we gotta touch this up with CGI, and I think that was a poor choice. But I do enjoy the film. I think they did a lot of great stuff. They showed respect to the Carpenter film, and it's a pretty fun double feature if you watch the prequel, and it leads right up to the events of the 82 Carpenter film. So yeah, Hollywood guy, it definitely has a John Wick feel. There's no doubt about that. And I'm conflicted. I'm truly conflicted about that. As an action fan, I'm in. I like, you know, as an action fan, I love that shit, right? As a fan of The Crow, I'm like, the thing that made The Crow so cool, that 94 film, was it was so gritty and dirty and grimy, and the fights were, they weren't stylized. And Brandon Lee on purpose didn't use, you know, his martial arts ability. He didn't want it to be stylized. He wanted it to be down and dirty and have a sense of realism to it, you know? So, yeah. Man, thank you so much for putting the Patreon link there. That's our link for Patreon. And definitely we have, let me just say this too, guys. We have some really awesome stuff planned, you know, for the rest of this year. We just had our 30K celebration on Saturday night. So for you guys that were able to join us, we appreciate that. It really was kind of a big moment. You know, this journey has been a really interesting journey and a lot of fun, a lot of friends that we've made. But we've got a lot of stuff planned for the rest of this year, and also some big plans, not only for our channel members and Patreon members, but for certain streams that we're going to do. I'll tease it like that, and you guys will see that starting probably in another week or two. We got some stuff lined up in April. We got some stuff lined up in May. So I'm just gonna tease it like that. Hey, Russell's in the chat. Good to see you, man. And Val, thank you for putting the link for tomorrow night's Battle World. It's going to be fun. I love these two movies. My brother Killian, he loves these two movies. And for Eric and Coriander, It's kind of their first time getting introduced to those films. So it's going to be fun to see how the panel votes go, because these are two films that are very similar. They have a lot of parallels, and they're great performances in them. Matt Damon, Sandra Bullock, and so many other great actors. So we hope you guys join us as always on Tuesday nights. We have fun. We have a blast. Let's see. And Hunter saying Bill Skarsgård was fantastic as Pennywise. I agree. He was really great as Pennywise. So that's why, and that's not the only reason why, but I love his I love his work. So I think he's going to be good in The Crow. It's just going to be a question of how the movie is done. You know, Hunter saying his favorite John Carpenter horror film is In the Mouth of Madness. I love that. Hunter, you got some homework, man, because we've done a lot of, let me just say, Carpenter's my favorite director. So we've done a lot of John Carpenter live streams. And just several weeks ago, well, actually probably been like 2 months or so now, but we had a great stream when we talked about Prince of Darkness versus In the Mouth of Madness. That was a lot of fun. So check that stuff out, man. Go through our list. We've got tons of streams, tons of videos and streams, man. So I think you'll have some fun here. Ginger Ninja saying, I know people who are just out of our generation by a few years that don't like the OG, The Crow. You're right, man. There are a lot of people who aren't on board with it. You know, they kind of see it as this this snapshot from that time of movies, right? Because it is kind of a sign of its times. You know, when you had movies like that and The Matrix and Dark City and films of that ilk that had that look to it, that dark, gritty, rainy, almost stylized, futuristic type of look to it. So there is that. So like I said, man, I think there's going to be people that are going to watch this new version of The Crow and they're going to be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And they might go back and watch the older film, or they might, like you said, take a stand and say, well, they're not a fan of the older one, and that's how these movies work, for a lot of fans. That's how it works. Dominic saying, I'm waiting for the next AVP film. Ooh, I'll tell you this. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think the concept is great. The first AVP film, I really, I enjoyed that for what it was. Requiem had some cool ideas. It was way too damn dark, so I got to turn up the brightness on my TV every time I watch it, which is not often at all. But yeah, it's a fun. I mean, look, it's Alien versus Predator. So thank you so much, Val. The link for The Crow. And again, it's, I just had thoughts about it. The controversy. There's so many people that feel strongly one way or the other. Val, I know you feel strongly. We talked about it. And I do too. And that's why I find it so fascinating, because anytime you do a remake of a beloved film, and I'm talking about super beloved, some films are fan favorites or they're loved, but this is like super beloved. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction of people. I referenced that in my video too, when you talk about characters that have new actors portraying them. It's just very, very interesting to see the dynamic of people. Gina saying, Covenant sent me to sleep, but Romulus looks good in my eyes. Romulus does look good, guys. And I'm going to tell you what. If you are not a fan of the Alien films, I think you should get on board. I know some people, Val likes to say she's not a sci-fi fan. but you are, or at least to a small degree. But there's some great stuff in those movies, and especially for us that are fans of horror. I mean, yeah, man, there's some good stuff in there, some really good moments, some great characters, some great scares, great directors too, man. Like, we've had a lot of great directors that have been tied to these films. Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Dave Fincher, and now Fede Alvarez. I think Fede Alvarez is a great director, has done some great films. So I'm really excited to see what happens. But the thing about Romulus that really interests me is how, I'm going to be talking more about this, but Fede Alvarez, he's talked about how it's in the timeline, it's in between Alien and Aliens, okay? And he's talking about how he's going to reference all of the movies. Like, in other words, he's not going to act like, you know, some of the movies didn't happen. You know, there's going to be Easter eggs for fans. And here's the thing that gets me, guys, for you guys that are Alien fans, hopefully you guys are. Think about this. So Alien takes place, you know, I think it's like around 2140. Let me double check the timeline. Let's see. Alien takes place, because this is where I want to go with this. Alien takes place, as far as the timeline, 2122. Okay, so Romulus is going to take place, I believe it's 20 years after the events of Alien. Okay, now you got to remember the events of Aliens is 57 years after the first film, right? Well, the thing that was interesting about Aliens is the whole idea of them terraforming the planet with Hadley's Hope. So, in other words, this is really going to put kind of you know, more of a magnifying glass on Weyland-Yutani, because the question is, as far as I could tell, they sent the people, Hadley's Hope, to terraform to actually make contact with the xenomorph. I mean, which is horrible. Is absolutely horrible. But if you think about it, right? Because not only did they know about the organism in Alien, right? But in Aliens, Burke wanted to capture the organism and bring it back. So I think Romulus is really going to kind of give us that bridge between the movies. The events of Romulus is really going to show kind of a little bit more about Weyland-Yutani and some of the nefarious deeds behind the scenes, man. And I'm really excited to see it. I'm really excited to see what they do. Let's see. Let me catch up to you guys here in the chat. Paul is saying, I saw Psycho for the first time last week. That's right. Yes, and it was such a fun watch party. Psycho is one of the best ever. The Langoliers. Hunter's a fan of the Langoliers. Ginger Ninja is. So much fun and bad CGI. Yes. It's good stuff. Hollywood Guy's a fan of Christine. Oh yeah. Love Christine. Mr. Rick saying, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. The videos on Patreon is the same on YouTube channel members. Some of them are, and some of them are not. And you know, to be quite honest, a lot of it is just trying to give, you know, certain videos to either side. So I can't, in other words, if you were to say, well, what gets certain content, it's not really about that. It's just trying to make sure I have certain stuff for each side. But yeah, but thank you for asking about that. I appreciate that. Hey, Jen's in the chat. What's going on? Hope you're doing well. And yes, Hunter, I consider Seven a horror movie. You know, some people would say it's more like a thriller, you know, or psychological thriller. But I think there's so many gray areas in that. I would definitely consider it. Put it this way, and I've talked about this before when I talked about Seven. When I came home from seeing Seven, I remember we watched it for a late night showing. I got home, it was like 11 o'clock, maybe close to 11:30. I went to bed not too long after that, and I was still kind of like, you know, thinking of the film and kind of like creeped out, you know, so it really left an impression on me. So to me, that's horror, man. That is horror. Ginger Ninja said, I liked Superman Returns, looked amazing on the big screen. Yeah, man. Do you remember when, I'll never forget when that trailer came out, that teaser? I was just so hyped up. You could hear Marlon Brando with the voiceover. I think the film was pretty good. I do think they had some missed opportunities. I think they could definitely had a little bit more action. I do like a lot of the story choices that they made, though. You know, And I think Brandon Routh was a great Superman. I think I'm glad that he had his moment when they did the DC event on TV. But yeah, it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it probably in a couple years, like 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. Let's see. Chris is in the chat. What's up, Chris? Good to see you. I look at the original Brandon Lee version of The Crow as my generation's version. This year's reiteration of that story is for this generation, for better or for worse, we shall see. Well said. And I think that's just how it works, guys. That's just how it works. When you have legacy films or a legacy franchise, as time goes on, it's just different. For those who grew up, my dad's generation, those who grew up as Batman fans, their Batman was Adam West. These new kids, their Batman is Robert Pattinson. That's a big difference and a huge shift in how it's displayed and how the storylines and everything works out. But it's okay. It's okay. I think as long as the newer film respects the original and respects the character, I think it's nice to see variation. And Batman's a great example. Look at all the differences of the Batman films, and here we are with when The Flash came out and people saw Michael Keaton coming back, and it was so cool to see that, and it was. But that Batman is totally different than Christian Bale's Batman, but you can still enjoy both is what I'm getting at. You can enjoy both. Drusef saying, I love that Ernie Hudson recently came out saying how much he missed Eric a lot. Still to this day, his press tour for the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. What a great looking dude at his age. Yeah, Ernie Hudson is awesome, man. He was so good in The Crow. I mean, he's always good. He's one of those actors that always stands out for me personally. And I think here's the other thing too, and this is another great point about The Crow. I think one of the things that made that film so awesome is his character, Albrecht, was, just a gritty, nose to the ground cop who had a heart. He had a heart. And that scene in his apartment when Brandon Lee comes in and they're talking and, he's asking him, why didn't you stop them, and so forth. And, Ernie Hudson's character is explaining it, and they're just having this conversation. It's such a simple scene, but it's two great actors that have great chemistry. And the way that the scene is written, it's very cool. It's emotional. It's well done. And it gives a lot of depth to Eric Draven as a character. So, and Ernie Hudson is such a big part of that. So again, these are the things for me that make a movie stand out and stand the test of time. So we'll have to see if we have anything like that in this new film, in this new version of The Crow. Let's see. And I just want to, and I knew you meant he missed Brandon Lee. Yeah, absolutely. Fallen is a really, really good movie. That's a good one, guys. Let's see. Ginger Ninja saying it was heaps of fun. Huge congrats once again. But thank you so much, man. It is a lot of hard work, man. It is. We try to do well, as well as anyone. We try to do stuff multiple times a week, every single week. You have to, if you're doing a channel, you have to be committed to doing it or not, right? And so my idea of it, the way I look at it as far as a work ethic, you just keep on working, So we've been very fortunate to be able to juggle that with our lives, with work. I have 2 jobs, we have a full house, and there's time zones involved between us and Kill. So, but we've been lucky enough to balance it and juggle it really well. So that's probably the most amazing part, because it's hard, man. Jen saying, I have to finish watching 30K Celebration. I watched part when I got home Saturday night. Well, thank you so much. Well, we appreciate that, Jen. Seriously. We had a blast. It was fun. It was fun. MMA's in the chat. If they have him look similar to the original Crow, this movie would be my most anticipated movie of the year. Yeah, I'm conflicted about that. I'm conflicted because, of course, with the sequels, and I never really got big into the sequels. I think the sequels did take that route to have him look more like Eric Draven, to varying degrees of success. I'm just gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see. I mean, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna be there, like, as soon as it comes out. I'm gonna be there to watch it because I'm so connected to that 94 movie, but also as a content creator to let you guys know what's going on. My thoughts of it are too. So, like I said, it's a tough thing. You're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Just like with the Psycho remake, you're literally remaking it scene for scene. And Psycho is an amazing film, so you would think that would make the remake an amazing film, right? But it doesn't, because people think it's a pale imitation. You didn't add anything to it. But if you add something to it, people, they might feel a certain way. But if you do the same thing, people will feel the same way. So that's the tricky part of successful art. A lot of times you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Jason's in the chat. What's going on, Jason? Good to see you. Polar's in the chat. Hey, Polar, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We are talking about everything. We had talked about, and we're still talking about The Crow. We talked about Alien Romulus, Late Night with the Devil. We did our Scream talk early in the stream, so this has been a lot of fun. Yeah. And thank you, Hunter. We appreciate the congrats. Seriously. I know, Val, right? It is great to see Polar here. It always is. It always is. And oh, yeah. I think I heard this too. Hunter is talking about, I heard they're going to remake The Dead Zone. I think a modern update remake of The Dead Zone could potentially work. Depending on how it's done. I know there's a lot of fans of the show with Anthony Michael Hall. I never really got big into it, and not that I didn't want to. I just didn't get a chance to get into it. But the little bit of it that I did see, I thought it was interesting. Anytime you can do a series, you can get deeper into the characters. But I have a huge connection to the Cronenberg film, man. And Christopher Walken, I think, was fantastic in it. Brooke Adams, I'm a huge fan of Brooke Adams. So, Polar saying, any opinion on the new Roadhouse? I will be putting out something on that soon, Polar. I will. That's good. That's pretty cool that you asked that. Roadhouse is definitely outside of horror. I love it. Let's see. Gina saying the OG Crow reminds me of my mom and dad. So tragic as my mom passed. Then 2 years later, my dad did, of a broken heart. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Gina. I love a tragic love story, as that film helped me a bit. Yeah, I can see how that. Yeah, and I know how that can have a connection. Seriously, it speaks volumes. It really does. It really, really does. Let's see. Polar saying, I was curious how Night feels just because he likes martial arts movies. You know it. I do. I will say this, Polar. I will be putting my thoughts out. I kind of held back on a little bit because it's such a different type of content, and we've tried at different times to lean into a lot of more of the action type of stuff, and to varying degrees of success. But if we have enough people that are interested in it, I'll be happy. It's good to hear that we got some folks that are interested in that stuff too, because I do love action films. I love action films almost as much as I love horror films. When I was growing up, that's what I was watching, So, all right. Let's see. And we got Doom Turkey in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Val, guess I'm gonna have to watch some sci-fi and catch up on the Alien movies. You will enjoy it. Trust me. It's some good stuff in it. It really is. The funny thing about the Alien films, and this isn't to give away anything, But even though they're sci-fi or sci-fi horror, some people say Aliens from James Cameron is more sci-fi action, which is fine. But think about this, Val. Really, all it is a monster coming after people, and you're usually in an enclosed area. You know, in the movies, it sometimes it's a space station, sometimes it's a ship, you know, and so forth. But really, at the end of the day, and they even said this about the original Alien from '79 by Ridley Scott, it's basically just a haunted house movie. It's in space. That's all it is. You know, because if you take away the fact that you're on a ship, it's just basically a monster coming after you in an enclosed area. So it's not like you're learning a new language from an alien species or a bunch of equations and math that you have to compute. You know, I think sometimes when people think of sci-fi, they get a little over, you know, their imagination kind of runs a little too wild. I think the Alien films at the end of the day is just a monster coming after people. That's all that it is, you know. So in other words, I think that for horror, I guess what I'm saying is for horror fans, I've always been interested for folks who may not be big into sci-fi movies, because I think sci-fi and horror go hand in hand. They really do. And if you look back into the, you know, like the 50s and the 60s, like even stuff like The Thing from Another World, sci-fi and horror. It's an alien from another world. That's the sci-fi. And you got the horror because he's coming after you to kill you. So The Fly, The Blob, I mean, these are all examples of that. And I really do think horror and science fiction, sci-fi go hand in hand quite a bit. Not always, but quite a bit. So it'll be fun, Val. Trust me. There's some good movies in that franchise. It really is. Unstables in the chat. What's going on? I'm so ready to see Alien Romulus. It looks like a combination of Alien, Aliens, and the last Alien video game. It does. It really does. And the great news, again, for us Alien fans, Ridley Scott and James Cameron, you know, saw the finished product. And this was really interesting. This was from an article. Fede Alvarez had gotten notes and comments from Ridley Scott and James Cameron, you know, what they thought of the film and, you know, little notes that they wrote. And he said that the notes were totally different. You know, if Ridley Scott was talking about, you know, a certain aspect of the film, James Cameron would have kind of a little bit of a different take. And he said it was all very educational for him as a filmmaker. I mean, Ridley Scott and James Cameron, I mean, they're two of the greatest directors of all time. And they're giving you their little, you know, ideas and thoughts on your film, and they both enjoyed the movie. So you can take that for what it is, but I do think Fede Alvarez is a great director in his own right, and I think he's going to do some great stuff. He's shown the ability to create tension and atmosphere, especially in tight places. So for this film and these people that are dealing with the xenomorph and what looked like to be dozens of face huggers from that teaser trailer, I'm really excited. And the fact that he's going, and here's the other thing too, and I haven't even put this out in a video. I'm hoping to soon, but you know, he's saying that there is a scene, we have heard about this rumored scene that was like the scene, you know, in the film, and he wanted to take a crack at a scene that was, you know, just amazing, like the chest burster scene in the original Alien. So I can't wait to see what this is, because supposedly it's never been done in the franchise, and Fede Alvarez said it's never been done in a horror movie. So I'm like, what the hell is going to happen, you know? And from what I heard from the screenings, it made a couple people like turn their head. They couldn't watch it. So that's great stuff, man. You're talking about a franchise that has been around for over 40 years. I'm all psyched and ready to see it, man. I really am. And Russell's a fan of Videodrome. Yes. Let's see. Polar. Yes, please hit the thumbs up. We appreciate that. Let's see. Happy Sandro's in the chat. Hey, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Very cool to have you here. We're talking about tons of different stuff. Ginger Ninja just watched Ernie Hudson and Leviathan on the weekend. Yeah, Leviathan. It was the first video I ever recorded, man. You know, I got to look around for it because I might have a copy of it. You know, you record so many things and, you know, it just, you lose stuff, especially from that far back. But yep, that was the first one I ever did. I don't know why I picked Leviathan, but I did. I do love the film. It's a fun time. But yeah, good call, Ginger Ninja. Good one. Oh man. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm caught up to everybody. We got Dan in the chat too. What's up, Dan? Good to see you. Dan, are you excited for Alien Romulus? I'm curious. I'm really curious. I think it's going to be like back to the basics, you know, horror laced. I can't wait to see it. I really can't. Chris saying, putting Scream 7 in the spotlight for a sec. In your opinion, Knight, do you think this film should be made, or should 6 be the last film in the series based on how it ended? Well, I'll tell you this. 6 could have been the last one, right? You know, because they kind of give their pseudo send-off to Sydney in 5, which I don't think was a good send-off. And at the end of 6, Sam puts the mask down, you know, so that's very telling, you know, and she walks away. She decides to walk away from it. So it could have been the end, right? But we know they weren't going to stop there. You know, they spent way too much money to get the rights to the franchise and so forth. So being a legacy franchise, I mean, think about this, guys. This is all you need to know. When you're talking about legacy franchises, whether it's Scream, Halloween, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and several others, the fandom for these franchises is so huge. You know, whether you're talking about online, at horror conventions, even in our YouTube communities. If we say we're going to talk about Scream, you automatically have a bunch of people that'll, you know, be invested. But if you say, okay, well, I'm going to talk about Late Night with the Devil, you're going to get like not even half of that participation, because the newer films don't have that connection, that legacy yet. Maybe ever, but yet. So we knew that they were going to do more movies. We really, really did. The question is, how is it going to end out? How is it going to end up? You know, can they find a way to make this thing smooth? I think they can. You know, you've got Sydney back into the story, and you've got Kevin Williamson shepherding it. So I think it can. I think it's got a good shot. I really do. Now, who would have thought that Kevin Williamson would be directing this film? When I heard it, I was like, I couldn't believe it at first. I had woke up from from sleep, and I couldn't even believe it. I had to triple check it to make sure that it was factual before I did my video on it. So, should it be made? That part of your question, I think so. I think so, because I do think we can wrap up Sydney's story better. And at the end of the day, as much as I love, the Carpenter sisters, and I think Sam was a great character, especially in 6. At the end of the day, when I think of Scream, I think of Sydney, and I think we could wrap up her story much better. So yeah, I'm all for it. I truly am. That's a great question, Chris. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. We got Troy in the chat. What's going on, Troy? Good to see you. All right. Let's see. Mr. Dan saying, I just ordered season 1 of The Dead Zone. Did it run its course or get canceled? I can't remember if it got canceled or not, to be honest with you. I didn't get a chance to get into it. You know, I was saying that a little while ago. You know, yeah, I haven't had a chance to get really into it. And thank you, Val, putting the link in again for our Patreon. Thank you. We appreciate that. And again, if you guys would like to become part of our Patreon, then that is the link. You click that. Or if you want to become a channel member, all you have to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button, or the links in the live chat. And yeah, we're gonna have some cool stuff coming up. We will be having a watch party on Sunday, and we do enjoy having it being an exclusive thing for our members. Polar, thank you. Alien is horror to me, right? Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm gonna tell you what. When I was a kid and I saw that movie the first time, it scared the crap out of me. Okay, it really did. Um, it definitely is horror, and even though it's considered, like if we're talking about the '79 film Alien, even though it's considered sci-fi horror, I think the horror aspect of it is much bigger, because again, it's all it is a monster chasing you in an enclosed area. Yeah, it's a ship, but take that away and add walls and the elements of a house, and it's no different, really. All right. Jen saying, I don't buy into any rumors, but someone suggested that the actor played Corey Cunningham could join the cast of Seven, and I noticed that he looks like a young Patrick Dempsey. Yeah, I think Rowan Campbell is the actor. I think he could pass for a young Patrick Dempsey. I've heard rumors. We've heard rumors about a couple people. Nothing has been solidified yet. So I try to. Yeah, I talk about rumors, but I try not to get too deep into it, because you you could find yourself getting into a lot of trouble with people. Oh, you said it was gonna happen. Like, no, it was just a rumor. I didn't know that you said that. So, but yeah, he could pass for a young Patrick Dempsey. Polar saying, scared me as a kid. Alien. Yeah, absolutely. It's very scary stuff, man. Troy saying, my dad was a movie lover, but he didn't like the cinema. We only saw 2 movies in his lifetime, and one was The Crow, so it holds a piece of my heart. I'll give it a chance, but I'm not expecting much, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, that's that's how I'm going with it. I'm not expecting it to be better than the '94 film. I'm not expecting to like it like I like that film. Even the little things about the '94 film, like I said, the atmosphere, the grittiness. Like when I watch that movie, it still feels, I feel kind of cold and like, ooh, because it's just the atmosphere of the movie. The soundtrack, I love the soundtrack. I still listen to that soundtrack to this day on a regular rotation. It's one of the greatest soundtracks ever. So yeah, I'm not expecting it to be as good. I do think it'll possibly be good. I don't think it's going to be the worst film of all time, like I've heard some people say. I don't foresee that happening, but yeah, we'll see. T saying, not a sci-fi guy either. I only enjoyed The Thing, Nope, and Season of the Witch. All right. Well, like I said, sci-fi, and especially sci-fi horror, just because of the fact of limitations in technology, I think sci-fi horror usually, more often than not, leans towards the horror more than the sci-fi. But yeah, The Thing, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a great one. I love that. So there's a lot of great sci-fi horror. So again, the Alien movies, of course. We can keep going on and on. So it's a lot of good ones. Paula said, I've never seen Alien, but I think my father liked it. He enjoyed Alien versus Predator. He saw it and I skipped it. A little too scary for me. It's intense. There's some intense stuff, no doubt. But I can tell you this. It's great. It's great. Oh, man. I love those movies. I truly do. Russell, oh yeah, John Hurt in Spaceballs. Yeah, I remember that. That was hilarious, man. Oh man. Let's see. Super Tender saying, my dad took me to see Rambo, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade movies, like in the theater. My mom took me to Return of the Living Dead. Yeah. Jaws 3. She was the horror influence. Yeah, my mom was big into horror too, so that's kind of interesting. I share that with you. She loved watching movies like Alien and Aliens and stuff like that. So yeah. Let's see, just to catch up. Ernie Hudson did a couple episodes of Murder She Wrote. I didn't know he did a couple episodes of Murder She Wrote. I used to love watching that show as a kid. I gotta catch up to that. I haven't watched that in so long, but I used to love it as a kid. Used to come on Sunday nights. Yes. And hey, we got a new channel member. Hey, Happy, coming back as a channel member. We appreciate that. That's awesome stuff. Thank you so much. Seriously, that definitely helps to build this community more, helps to keep the lights on, allows us to do, special streams and so forth. So Happy, thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate you. And let's do a super chat clip. Let's do a one that we haven't done in a while. Sometimes you're really happy about things, and so is this person.
You done messed up, Aaron!
There you go. Thank you so much, Happy. We appreciate the support. Seriously. Awesome to have you here. Dan saying, excited for Romulus, 57 years between Alien and Alien, so plenty of possibilities. Right. Yeah, man. I mean, look, and Fede Alvarez has talked about that and how, it's going to connect to the films, but it's its own thing. But he said everything that's happened in the franchise from Alien to Alien Covenant, there's going to be that connection. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do. He's a big fan of the franchise. He's a very good director, very good. And like I was saying earlier, Dan, I don't know if you were here, but James Cameron and Ridley have seen the finished film. They gave him notes and comments and so forth. They both loved it. And so I'm excited, man. I'm so excited because I've missed the franchise. I really have, and this looks like it's not only going to be a good Alien film, but I think it's going to, really build out more of the mythology. So I can't wait. Polar saying, I'm hoping there'll be another movie released like When Evil Lurks. That is one of the first movies in a while that shocked me, and I loved it. Ooh, Polar, that is so cool. I did not know that you were a fan of that. That is so cool. I actually have something where I was talking about it. I haven't even released it, but the thing of it is, for some of these films, there's just not as much buzz. Unfortunately, I love horror, man. I love movies in general, but when we're talking about horror, like when new movies come out, man, if I don't get a chance to see it, I'm hurting, right? I love just watching films, and I'm hoping as time goes on, we can do a lot more of that, talking about a lot of the other films that don't get a lot of buzz. But that's awesome. That is really cool. If we ever do a watch party for Polar, I don't know if you'd be interested in joining it, but let me know that, because that film, me and Coriander, when we watched that movie, there was a lot of jaw-dropping things going on, and you know what I mean. So that would be a really good one to do for a watch party. It's intense, bro. It's intense. Let's see. I want to catch up. And Happy saying, thanks for the welcome back, everyone. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Happy, and I'm so glad that you guys are welcoming Happy back. That's awesome stuff. You guys are all right. Let's see. Polar saying that I hope they get back to the basics with Scream's kill, stab references and start scattering movie references throughout the movie. Scream 5 and Scream 6 lacked on that. Yeah. I agree. I think that, again, I'm really hopeful because Kevin is amazing. Okay. We know that Kevin is great with characters and chemistry and scenes and all of that. So I'm just hoping that his influence will be heavy, even though he's not writing the film. But just like with Christopher Landon, Kevin has a way of polishing up scripts, just like Wes Craven did. So I'm really hoping that his influence is heavy on this movie, you know, and he knows these characters better than anyone. So yeah, I'm excited, but I agree. You know, we got to have some of those things that 5 and 6 didn't have, right? 1 through 4. If you watch all the films, you can see you can see that divide after 4. And it's not to say 5 and 6 were bad, because they weren't, but they didn't have that same charm that the first 4 films had. So I'm hoping we get back to that. I really am. We got Jerry in the house. What's up, Jerry? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And by the way, and I haven't even checked on this, but Val, if you could, or Jen, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It helps to support the stream. We'd appreciate it. And if we can find out how many likes we got. But good to have you guys in here. And hope you're doing well, Jerry. Let's see. I know, Ginger Ninja. It's like, it's almost a space slasher, and that is so true. It really is. It really is. It's fantastic, though. Alien is such a great movie from beginning to end. It is absolutely amazing. No doubt at all. Let's see. Troy also saying the original Alien is definitely horror. It's basically a slasher in my eyes. Agreed. I agreed. Super Tenor going with The Howling. The Howling scared me. Still scary. You know, The Howling has great atmosphere. It's creepy, right? It's dark. Absolutely. Yep. Ginger Ninja saying, I heard over the weekend that there will be a screening of Demons at my local cinema this year. I'm very excited. Oh, that's cool, man. Oh, I'd love to see that in the theater. I think it's cool that you got a lot of theaters that are doing the screenings of the older films. That is so cool, man. You're going to love that. You're going to love it. And thank you, Val, for reminding people again. If you haven't, go to our homepage of the channel. We have upcoming streams. I always try to put the streams up at least a day in advance, if not longer. And we've got some cool stuff coming up. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, we have something coming up in a couple weeks that I'm thinking that you guys are gonna really want to be at. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna hopefully put it up in the next couple of days. So, and not even my mods know what it is. So it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited about it. And it's going to be fun. But yeah, you know, on the homepage for a lot of us content creators that stream a lot, you know, we put streams up ahead of time so people can hopefully plan ahead if it's something that they want to join and be a part of. So. Dan saying Romulus is looking better and better the more I hear about it. It is. It really is. Everything I'm hearing about it so far, Dan, I'm on board. Everything is sounding fantastic. Everything is sounding fantastic. And even the fact that, you know, for Fede, when he had this idea, he got the idea originated from the special edition of Aliens. Okay. You know, when they have the extended scene of Hadley's Hope and the idea of the terraforming and families basically living, you know, through that process of terraforming on a planet and so forth. So that was kind of where the spark of the idea started for him. And that's great, number one. But when he pitched it and they were thinking this was going to be something for Hulu like they did for Prey, and as they started getting into the production, starting out the process, they said, no, we're going theatrical with this. So that's really cool too. You know, I have a lot of confidence in this film. I really do. Polar saying, I was like, no, 10 minutes later, no, over and over again until that movie was mind-blowing. It really was. When Evil Lurks, it was great. Yes, it was great. Ginger Ninja saying we got 30 likes. All right. Very cool. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you checking that out. If you haven't hit the like button, you know what to do. I like that. Jinzo in the chat, what's up? Saying you got to feel bad for Williamson not being able to let this franchise go. Beating a dead horse sucks for creative people. Well, you know, I think here's the thing, and we don't know yet. I've speculated. I think when everything went down with Scream, as far as, the Melissa situation and then Jenna and then Christopher Landon, I think that Kevin, who's, been basically a creative guide, you know, on 5 and 6, I think he stepped up to the plate, man. I think he stepped up to the plate and said, hey, this is what we should do, so forth and so forth. We got to get Nev Campbell back involved. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. I don't think he wanted to see the franchise, take the wrong turn. That's my thought on it. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But I will say this. I also think that unless we hear different, I think he was fine with being on the sidelines and just kind of being a creative consultant, So I don't know if it's about him not being able to let the franchise go, or maybe if the studio came in and said, "Hey, can you help us? We need help, and there's no one on this earth that knows this franchise better than you." So either way, in other words, I don't think it was necessarily negative intentions. You do have some creatives that they just they get stuck in that cycle, and Kevin Williamson doesn't seem to be that type, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Super Tanner saying, who likes horror video games? I'm at the final boss of the new Alone in the Dark. I used to play a lot of horror video games, but I just don't have the time. I really don't. As much as I used to love doing that, especially with doing channel stuff. I mean, bro, I'm like watching movies almost every single day of the week. Content creating is an everyday thing. So I wish I did have the time, but I've heard good things about it. Yeah. And Paula, you're right. Wednesday night is going to be Scream 5 on our good buddy Steven's channel at Craven Something Scary. I can't wait to rewatch Scream 5. I haven't watched it, and it's probably been a little over a year. Yeah, so it's going to be fun watching it and hanging out with everyone, and just getting that new perspective, because we've been watching each one, so 1 through 4 you get that certain vibe, and then when 5 and 6 happens, it's like, okay, they start doing things a little bit different. Polar saying, I like watching YouTubers play horror games. I'm personally too scared to play. That's cute. Yeah, it is fun watching people play those games, man. Super Tenor saying to Jinzo, I disagree. You're lucky if you have a cash cow to beat to death. Plus, Williamson has done other things, but still similar. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's had a really good career. He's had a lot of influence on other stuff. And there is truth to that. I mean, if you get to the point where you have a legacy franchise, you're pretty lucky, and not everybody gets that. Can you imagine? Think about all the movies, not just horror, but all the movies that have come out that never got a chance to become a franchise, or never got a chance to be, adored by millions and millions of fans. Is not something that happens all the time. So if you do have a franchise that can stand the test of time, like Scream, you're pretty lucky. I would say you're pretty lucky. Let's see, we're at 32 likes. Okay. Jinzo saying, I'm dead sure that Williamson doesn't want his legacy to be tied to just Scream. Probably not. But fortunately for him, especially when you think about other things, whether it's I Know What You Did Last Summer and other projects that he's been a part of or written. Scream is the biggest one. I put it this way. I mean, that's like John Carpenter, right? For some people, they only think of Halloween. And usually that's the more casual fans, because Halloween is his most popular movie. But for those of us that are true John Carpenter fans, we think of so many other great movies, whether it's The Fog or Prince of Darkness or Christine or Escape from New York or Big Trouble in Little China. So I think that you're always going to have, if you have something very popular amongst your work, your body of work, you're always going to be tied to it, and there's nothing that he can do about that. Scream is just the most popular thing, He literally would have to have something else surpass Scream for him to be tied to something else, which is possible, by the way, which is possible. But you know, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, if you're someone like Steven Spielberg, that could happen. You know, if you think about, oh, you know, he's the guy that directed Jaws or Raiders, but then there's so many people that are tied to Jurassic Park, you know. So, but that, you know, Steven Spielberg is like a once in a lifetime, you know, creative, once in a generation, once in every other generation. But it's interesting to think about. It is. Russell saying thoughts on the body horror film Tusk with Justin Long and Johnny Depp. So I saw that you did not like it. I will say this: it was a fun watch party we did. Russell, you should check out our watch party for it. It was hilarious. I will say there were things about it that were kind of like but there were things about it I thought was pretty cool. I love Justin Long. I think he's so underrated. I really enjoy his performances in these horror films that he's been a part of. He's kind of like a Scream king. He really is. So check out our watch party on it, man. It was a lot of fun we did. Yeah. Jinzo saying maybe he'll get a new studio project out of the deal, which Kevin would deserve if he saves Scream 7. That's true too. You know, maybe that's part of, you know, the behind the scenes that we might find out someday, that they're going to give him some creative control over some other stuff, or maybe another project. So, you know, I like I said, for an actor or director, hey, do what you got to do, you know, because the business is tough. You know, you can be here today, gone today, right? So if doing Scream 7 allowed him to get other projects, and plus he gets to hopefully save his baby, I think it's a win-win. There's one thing for sure, is that by doing Scream 7, he's back on the map, you know, at least as far as being visible to people and the possibilities of more successful opportunities. So, yeah. More power to him. More power to him. Jinzo saying, what are some of your thoughts on Late Night with the Devil? Well, you got to check out my video, man. I definitely thought there were some really interesting things. I was really lucky to get a chance to see it beforehand. But check it out. I just put that out last week. And I will say, wow, that's all I can say is wow. But yeah, we did have the link in the chat. Hopefully if Val or if one of you guys could put the link for my Late Night with the Devil in the live stream, that would be great. And Genzo, definitely leave a comment and let me know what you think. And as time goes on, I also want to say this too. I'm hopefully going to wait at least a few more days before like talking full spoilers for it, you know, just to give people a chance to see it. But I have a lot of thoughts. I really do. Let's see, just to catch up with you guys. Troy's coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Troy. We appreciate that. Say, adding to Polar's thoughts when Evil Lurks is fantastic. I watched it alone, literally gave a slow clap and a thank you after the axe scene. 10 out of 10. Yeah. I like that, a slow clap. It was really, really good. It really was. I was so impressed. And definitely some things that I did not expect at all. Seriously. Man, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you. You know that. Let's do another clip. You know, sometimes when you want to hang out there and take a little dip, this is what might happen to you.
Heavy.
There we go. Good old Michael. Woo. Thanks so much, man. Much appreciated. Seriously. All right. Hey, we got JJ in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Jinzo saying Carpenter has a fantastic legacy. It seems to grow every year. Very true. Very true. And it's cool because, you know, so many people get attached to different things that he's done, you know. And thank you, Polar, reminding people, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Please, please, please. Polar, thank you so much. There's the link to the watch party for Tusk. That was a classic watch party. It was so much fun. Oh my God. Woo. Chef's kiss reactions. I know, all of us on the panel. Oh my goodness. Guys, let me say one thing, and I'm about to wind down. And for some of you guys that have been around for a while, number one, all of us appreciate that and appreciate you guys. And for you guys that are newer to the channel and to the community, we hope that you guys can get great memories of things like this, because we've had so many fun moments, whether it's watch parties or live streams or hangouts or whatever, celebrations. And I think that's one of the most fun parts about doing YouTube and having a community that you're a part of, is just to have good times together and good memories. And we've had so many of them. So definitely for you guys that are newer to the community, or you may not get a chance to get to a lot of the streams, I hope you get a chance to have some of these memories, because we've had so many, and Tusk was one of those moments. It really was. May, thank you for putting the link in for Late Night with the Devil. Please check that out, guys. If you haven't checked it out, again, you know, I love talking about newer horror as well, and I was able to put that out before it actually came out in theaters. I was really happy about that. But if you haven't checked it out, please do. If you've checked it out, check it out again. Share it out on social medias. That would really help the channel as well. Thank you so much. Let's see. You saw Russell saying he saw Tusk for the first time last night. Ooh, okay. All right. Ginger Ninja Man's on the ball. Right? Val said I was just about to hit send. You guys are all right. Thank you so much, though. You guys are all right. Much appreciated. Ty's in the chat. What's up, Ty? Good to see you. Just got out of Late Night with the Devil, and I highly recommend. Yeah, man. Check out my review. We just put the link in the chat. Please do. Please do. It really, seriously, guys, especially with new horror movies, or if it's like reviews of stuff that is not like a legacy property, you know, those are definitely things that are near and dear to my heart. I can speak for me. I don't want to speak for other content creators, but I bet you it's the same. So definitely, if you can check that out and share it out and so forth, that would definitely be appreciated. Polar said night getting the giggles is always a great time. You know, I tell you what, man, I love that. I really do. Just being able to have fun with you guys, man. It's fun to be able to enjoy movies with people. It really is, because I don't get a chance to do that with a big group of people in regular life. But I've been blessed to find, you know, all of you guys to share that with, and that's the fun of this. It really is. But when stuff is going down and it's fun or funny, yeah, I definitely can sometimes lose it. It's fun. Yeah, Val, Sleepaway Camp 2 is the best watch party. We'll never forget that one. Yeah, that was a great one. That one, Society, Maximum Overdrive, both Maximum Overdrive watch parties were great. I had fun with the Stephen King watch parties that I was doing when I was doing that series on Wednesday nights, and we had Jack Stannis was on a couple of them. That was fun. Sarah, first time watching Cujo, her reactions, a lot of good times, guys. A lot of good times. Yeah, I know. Poor Steven. He had fun with that. Oh. All right. Well, look, guys, and hey, Ben's coming in right at the end. Good to see you, man. Check out the replay. So look, guys, we're going to end it there. Thank you guys for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. We covered a lot of stuff, and I'm glad that we were able to do that. That was my intent. And we did it, guys. We friggin' did it. Scream 7, I'm sorry. The Crow, Alien Romulus, Late Night with the Devil. We did it. I'm so glad it worked out that way, and you guys were open and had a lot to say about all of those movies. So that was fun conversations. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It helps to support. And for you guys that have been here and the super chats and happy becoming a member again, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. And whoa, hey, Troy coming in with a super chat at the end here. All right, saying like that clip, it was the wrong one. See the name, clip recommendation, search, chum drum bedroom. There's gold in them there. What? What was that? Okay, I have an idea what it is. I'm gonna take a guess, but I know the one that you like. Here we go.
But the cream, yeah, let me say it here. Let me say it out loud. Yeah, you mean Gene Okerlund. You know that I'm the cream. I am the cream, yeah.
There we go, man. Thanks so much for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, seriously. And for you guys, we didn't get to everyone's comment. I tried to, but leave some comments in the comment section. We can continue the conversation there, as we always do as a community. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of great opinions and thoughts. So anyways, we will catch you guys tomorrow night for Battle World. I hope you guys will be there. It's going to be a fun one, something a little bit different, just like last week was. So anyways, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys. Have a good night.